Hi, welcome back to Good Deeds Real Estate with a Mission. I'm here with my husband and business partner, Bill Weidacher. Hello, Bill.
Hi, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Easy for you to say, my goodness.
Such an easy name.
Well, we're kicking 2021 out the door.
Mhm.
What did we learn this year?
A lot. You go first.
Okay, well, I'd like to start, and that is, I feel that if you like 2020, you love 2021 because it was the same kind of year. Inventory was even harder to come by. Sales were happening at breakneck speeds. We cut marketing time. Marketing time was already like 50 days, and now it's like 25 days. We cut that in half. Prices are way up. What did we learn? I think I have to take this past year and 2020 and say, you know what, they go together. They go together. And if you asked me in the beginning of 2020 what the next 2 years would look like as we waltzed our way into this pandemic, I would have never said we're going to see the best 2 years of real estate sales ever. Matter of fact, I planned against it. I thought, oh my God, what's going to happen? Nobody's going to be able to sell their house. Nobody's going to be able to buy a house. The reverse of that happened. Prices are way up. I learned that. It does not seem to be much stopping it. It might slow down a little bit in 2022, but 2021 was as good as 2020. How about you? What'd you pick
Well, it's
up?
funny you said that about the 2 years. Someone asked me recently, a potential seller said, so when's the selling season? I said, the last 2 years, all year. I mean, it's been just a steady.
Yeah, there's been no spring market,
Nope.
there's no winter market. For instance, I look at the overnights every single day. I check them in the morning to find out what's going on. And this week, this last week of the year, typically nothing's going on. It's the week between Christmas and New Year's, and people aren't putting their properties on the market. And 11 properties came on the market overnight. In the last 24 hours, 11 properties. That would have never happened in the past. And so, why is that happening? Because they know it will sell.
Mm-hmm.
And they know there's potentially less competition right now than there would be in 90 days. Couple things I've learned. I look at the National Association of Realtors profile of home sellers and home buyers. And the home buyers, first-time home buyers, is dropping as a percentage. They're down at 24% of all home buyers were first-time home buyers. That to me is the lowest it's been in quite some time, and the reason I find that to be a little alarming is that prices are up so high that first-time home buyers are unable to take part at the same rates as they had in the past. It used to be years ago, 35 to 40%. You could bank on it. And it got as high as 50% when we had the first-time home buyer tax credits in the late.
Yep, $8,000, yeah.
And the point is that I think when you take that, because of the appreciation of prices over the last 2 years, and you take the idea that we are going to see potentially 3 rate increases by the Fed in 2022, I wonder where pricing is going to. We're going to see this elevated rate of appreciation. Hard to know. The last 2 years have been, if you're a property owner in the last 2 years, it's been great.
And anything about home sellers?
Well, we talked about this. The for sale by owners. Is that what you're talking?
That's where I'm going.
Well, it's the lowest as a percentage. For sale by owners are the lowest as a percentage of home sellers in the last 4 decades, in 40 years. And I think, wow, why is that so low when properties seem to be just flying off the shelf? It should be easier to sell the properties. So why do you have an idea why that might be?
I do.
What do you think it is?
Because I think they understand how cumbersome it can be and how complicated transactions are to navigate, to negotiate. And I think many times even when people try to sell their own homes, they end up using a real estate agent. So, the truth is anybody can sell their home right now. We said it before. But for the best price, the best terms, and the most assurance of it closing, not so much.
Yeah, I think now property owners realize how complex the
Yeah.
transaction
Yeah.
is, and there's legal ramifications, there's negotiation strategies that can be to your benefit as a property owner. If you've got somebody, let's face it, the average property owner now sells their property every 8 to 12 years. So in your lifetime, if you're doing that, you're selling 4, 5, 6 houses.
Mm-hmm.
We do that on a monthly basis. You're going to get much better at negotiating transactions when you're doing 100 or 200 a year versus 5 or 6 in a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So I think lots and lots of property owners recognize that today.
Yeah.
That's why I think the number's so low.
I agree. And as low as it is, many of those, I think you'll agree, are people who probably already knew each other. It wasn't like someone put a sign in their yard. It's they had a friend, they had a relative, and it just happened to come together. Sometimes they weren't even thinking about selling.
Oh,
right?
sure.
So,
I bet you it's more than half.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. Like, hey, if you ever want to sell your house, would you
Mhm.
sell it to me, your nephew?
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of a, so
Otherwise,
sure.
I'm not moving out of the basement.
Yeah. So I do believe that's the case. In most cases, property owners that are selling by owner have already identified who the
Yeah.
buyer is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
Here's another thing, as I think about it, what I picked up on this year is, in spite of the fact that properties are selling at lightning speed, marketing and good marketing still matters. It still matters in terms of being able to maximize your return on your property. You can't just say, well, I'm not going to do any work to the property. Everything's selling. But is everything selling at top dollar if you're not marketing it properly?
Mm-hmm. Agree.
I think it's doesn't seem self-serving. It is self-serving that we're saying, look, hire us to assist you in getting the best return that you can get on the property. In most cases, we do know that people's homes is in most cases their single greatest investment.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get the best return you can from it, right?
Absolutely.
I think that covers what I may have learned this past year. Home buyers are still. What else have I learned from 2021? Home buyers still were out there in droves, even though prices were way up. Interest rates have remained low.
Affordability is still good.
And here's what I'm also finding is that we're at the very beginning of the millennial population that's going to be a wave, much like the baby boom population was in the 70s and 80s, buying real estate. That's about to start happening with the millennial population. They now outnumber the baby boom population. Not because it started that way, it's just that many of us are no longer around. So I do believe that this real estate wave is going to continue in terms of demand in this country. It's a popular place for people to want to own. It's what do we call it? We call it the American dream for a reason.
Yep.
People.
And an opportunity.
Well, and also I've said this before. People don't emigrate to this country and say, if I can only get an affordable rental property, they want their own property.
Of course, pride of ownership.
Yep. That's what I've learned.
Okay, that's a lot.
I can double space it and turn it into a 15-page report.
That's what you've
for you.
learned regarding you've probably learned a few other things this year.
That's with real estate. That's what I've learned. I've learned this, that we are an adaptable, as the species is highly adaptable. We've maneuvered our way through this pandemic. It's not over, but we've maneuvered our way through this, and real estate has been at the forefront. It's been considered not only essential, but paramount in the way people have decided to tackle this pandemic. I mean, people have said once and for all, if we're going to stay in our house, then we want it to be awesome.
It's funny, I was listening to NPR yesterday, and they were talking about the price of lumber, and they had a lot of people who were doing their own projects and didn't even care. They, especially as the prices rose, they decided to invest, and it didn't matter what supplies cost, and it didn't, they were building decks and doing kitchens, and in some cases DIY, because they were working remotely and had more time, they weren't commuting. It was just very interesting about, to hear about what people, how important the home is, and it's always been, but especially now that we're kind of spending more time there and not sure when we're gonna have to spend more time. It's been very eye-opening, the way people have really kind of been nesting and been feathering their nests.
Well, I wonder what it will look like 5 years from now. We know that people have commuted less to work, but by staying home. And here's what employers have found, that in many cases, productivity has gone up.
Mm-hmm.
Why? But the people are working they're not spending their time commuting, right? They show up at 8 o'clock. They're at work. They're at home at work. It's been, I'm excited to see where real estate goes in the next 10 years as a result of what we've gone through and what we're learning from this pandemic. We noticed yesterday's state newspaper that 1000 Elm Street, which was built about 50 years ago, it's the tallest building skyscraper in the city of Manchester, is, they're going to put, I think it's 155 apartments.
Right.
Living downtown.
It's great.
I do too. I do believe that part of that is not because there is people are clamoring for office space in downtown Manchester. They're clamoring for residential
No
space in
question.
downtown Manchester.
No question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lot to learn. So much to learn. But thank you for asking the
what you've
question.
learned in 2021.
That's a lot. Again, I don't think we're gonna get it all for 2022. There's gonna be some things that come up where we go, didn't see that. Be interesting, fun,
Mhm.
and we're gonna be right here for 2022.
Did you want to ask me what I've learned? Is that part
Did
of the?
you learn anything?
Now I have. Everything I've learned, I've learned in the last 10 minutes.
What did you learn?
Besides that,
Yeah,
Well, I'll
I
tell you
think
what-
we're in
what
agreement.
I'd love an answer to is if everyone's working from home, who are all those people on 93 when I go back and forth to Boston? Running errands on their break? I don't get it. If the traffic is, everyone's home and the traffic is back to where it was.
At parochial school, this is what the sisters used to say. It's one of the great mysteries.
Okay, so what have I learned? Mine is a little more of a warm fuzzy. I think I've learned that people have really come out for each other. I've learned that there's a lot more gratitude, and I don't know if that's in our community of our agents, our team, our company, our colleagues, but also among our clients. I just feel like, I don't know, I think you and I both feel that way. I hope our kids feel that way, and I think there have been a lot of silver linings. We've been fortunate enough not to have been touched by much tragedy, and I like to focus on the silver linings.
I think that's the key. You get what you focus on. Because there's as much anxiety out there too in this world, but for those who focus on that.
I'm focusing on earrings right now. I get earrings?
We'll see.
And we'll see means maybe.
And maybe means no. All right, well, this has been fun.
Yeah.
We've had a great 2021. Looking forward to 2022 triumphantly.
Yes, I am as well. Thanks for being my partner.
Peace.
Okay. Well, thank you. And here's to a great 2022. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on your favorite podcast platform. Happy New Year.
Bye, everybody.